Now we'll be starting. Maybe the students will join in meantime. As I was talking about the gas welding, this is also known as oxy-fuel welding process. Through the combustion of the fuel gas like acetylene, propane, hydrogen, the fuel gas reacts with the oxygen and produces the basically carbon dioxide and the H2O plus some exothermic heat is generated. So this exothermic heat generation is used for the welding purpose. This is the main thing, so that the fairing surfaces of the plates to be joined can be connected through the metallurgical joint. So we need to supply oxygen and we need to supply the acetylene to ensure that the flame or the combustion of these two can take place and a flame is produced. So there is a cylinder of acetylene. So it's being very explosive. Acetylene is kept under pressure, higher pressure than the 200 kPa, because under the lower pressure conditions it becomes unstable and tends to explode. Okay, there is another gas which is oxygen, which provides the required oxygen to provide there is another gas, oxygen, which is needed for combustion to take place of the fuel gas, and this is also kept in a cylinder in a pressure range from 13 to say 18 MPa. Okay, and both these gases are fed into the torch through the pipes. This is the torch where the mixing of these two gases will be taking place, and the gas mixture will be coming out of the nozzle. So here, through the suitable lighter or spark, the gas mixture is burned, and whenever it is burned, it produces the flame, which has the generally two zones. One is called inner zone or inner cone or outer cone. About these inner and outer ones I have already talked earlier. Okay, in case of so there are three types of the flame based on the proportion of the fuel gas and oxygen. When this ratio is 1, we have the neutral flame. They are just the inner cone and outer cone, like this. When the ratio is greater than 1, say 1.2, means acetylene is more, we get the carburizing flame, and in that case we get the additional flame in between. And when the ratio is less than 1, say 0.8, we get the oxidizing flame, when oxygen is more and fuel gas is less. In that case also we get the two zones only in the flame. So this is the schematic of the entire setup of gas welding and the different components which are used. The ratio of the oxygen and the acetylene can be controlled using these through controlling valves, through knobs. Okay, to change the type of flame as per the need or the type of the metal to be welded. Okay, as far as the welding technique is concerned, say this is the plate to be welded. Okay, so depending upon the direction of the welding and the torch inclination, say this is the welding direction. Okay, direction in which welding is being performed, say. So if the welding torch is oriented in such a way that it is pointed towards the welding direction, then this is called forward welding. And when the torch is pointed in the direction opposite to the direction of welding, like the torch is moving like this. In this case, torch is moving in the direction of welding. In this case, the torch is pointed in the direction of its opposite to the direction of its movement. So the torch is pointed in the second case, when the torch is pointed in the direction opposite to the direction of its movement, opposite to the direction of welding. In both the cases, we may have the same welding direction, but the orientation and inclination of the torch with respect to the welding direction will decide which technique of the welding is being used. So the first case, when the torch is inclined in such a way that the torch tip is pointed towards the welding direction, this is called forward welding. And in the case when the torch is pointed in the direction opposite to that of the welding direction, this is called, then it is called backward welding. Okay, apart from these two, so here the torch pointed in the direction of welding, so this is forward welding. And when the torch is pointed in direction to the opposite of the welding, then this is called backward welding. Okay, so these are the two techniques. So what is the difference in these two? That is what we can see here. That say this is the welded section. Say this is the weld line and material is being welded like this. So in forward direction welding, the torch is pointed in the direction of welding like this. So the flame will be covering in this manner. Okay, flame will always be ahead of the weld pool wherever it is. So means this, the flame will be preheating the parent material or the base material. So this preheating fastens the melting process and increases the welding speed. Okay, so this preheating feature of the base metal is achieved in case of the forward welding. On the other hand, when we use the backward welding, where the torch is pointed towards the welding direction, means flame will continue to heat the already welded section. Okay, this is the welded section, so flame will continue to heat the already welded section, and this action results in the post weld heating. And this post weld heating sometimes reduces the cracking tendency. Okay, so this is good because some of the hard-naval steels are very crack sensitive. So the cracking tendency is reduced by the backward welding because of this post weld heat treatment. While in case of preheating, it accelerates the rate of melting or the fusion, that in turn increases the welding speed. Okay, and these are the other aspects, like how the filler rod is placed. So if you see, invariably in case of the thick section welding where groove has been made like this V groove, so we need to use the filler. So filler of the matching properties in terms of composition, mechanical properties, physical properties is usually preferred, so that the joint strength is similar to that of the base metal. Okay, and the tip of the torch is kept at a little distance of this one from the plate. Why? Because if you see the nozzle like this, you have the inner cone and then outer cone. So the peak temperature is realized at the tip of the inner cone. So say 3100 degrees centigrade is near the tip of the inner cone, so which is found at some distance from the nozzle. That is why the nozzle tip distance is kept at say 1.5 to 3 mm away from the plate, and the torch in angle inclination is about 30 to 45 degree from the horizontal plane. In order to have the more uniform distribution of the heat and facilitate the sufficient coverage of the welding up to the sufficient depth, say these are the two thin sheets to be welded. So what will you doing? The torch movement can be like say it can be circular or it can be oscillating like this, so that sufficient width of the weld can be realized and enough heat is provided. If you simply move fast like this, then the heat input which will be delivered or given to the base metal, that will be low. So oscillatory or the circular movements can be given to the torch in order to realize the sufficient heat input, sufficient width of the weld and sufficient depth of penetration. These are few suggested edge preparations for oxy-fuel welding. Say this is one case. Say the bevel angle or the groove angle, this can be 30, 45, 60 likewise. So here say this included groove angle is say 30 to 60 degree. This is square for thin sheets, say up to 5 or 6 mm. The gap is maintained of 1.5 mm. This is a square edge preparation, nothing else. Here we do preparation for thicker sections like say 6 to 12.5 mm, and for further thicker sections of thickness say 12.5 to 40 mm, we use double V groove edge preparation with the root face. This is the root face and this is the root gap. So gap is 3 mm and the face is also 3 mm, and the included angle can vary from 60 to the 90 degree depending upon thickness. Maybe say you can prefer to use the angle of 60 for the thinner sections and for thicker sections the higher angle, so that there is a easy reach of the torch. In our slave there are various arc welding processes depending upon the shielding gas and the electrode. The different types of arc welding processes have been developed. Just for an example, there is a shielded metal arc welding. This is commonly known as SMAW. This is also known as stick electrode. Stick electrode welding. Okay. This is also known as manual metal arc welding. Metal arc welding. So abbreviation is MMAW. Okay, in our syllabus primarily we have this welding process only, shielded metal arc or stick electrode or manual metal arc welding process. This is the most commonly used welding process, which you can see roadside, all roadside welding are performed using the SMAW process. So for all general purpose applications, SMAW welding is performed. So you can say 80% of the weld metal deposited in industry for all general purposes is through the SMAW process only. Okay, there are other processes like for effective shielding when we use inert gas. Then in one case when the tungsten electrode is used, we call it as a tungsten inert gas welding. Okay, when we use consumable electrode with the inert gas, it is called metal inert gas welding. Okay, when flux is used, molten flux is used just to provide the shielding, this is called submerged arc welding. And an advanced variant of the tungsten inert gas welding is when the arc is passed through the very small size nozzle, so that no arc size is reduced or it is constricted. So then it is called plasma arc welding. Okay, so there are various arc welding processes. In all these arc welding processes, the heat primarily comes from the welding arc, which is used for facilitating the fusion of the faint surfaces. So these are the, like say, edges of the plates to be brought to the molten state. So heat of the arc is used for this purpose. In all arc welding processes, heat for melting the parent metals and developing the weld joint is achieved through the arc. Okay, so heat of the arc is governed by the two parameters, the welding current being used and the voltage between the electrode and the base metal. So VI, that is the voltage, the current and the voltage multiplication, this gives us the power of arc. Power of arc. Higher the power of arc, higher the VI value, greater will be the power of arc, greater will be the heat generated, higher will be the temperature generated. So higher will be the speed of welding. Okay, greater will be the depth up to which the penetration can be realized, that depth up to which the base metals can be melted. Okay, so this is about the role of the heat or the power of arc. Just for example, if take the base metal, apply the arc using the different welding currents, say 100, 200 and 400, what you will notice, in one case the weld zone is very small, depth of penetration is very less. For 200 it will be higher, say for 200 the weld zone is size and depth of penetration is also more. For further higher welding current, higher heat input, higher power of arc, the weld zone size further bigger and the penetration is further deeper. So for welding thick sections, thick plates in one pass, we need to increase the heat, and that can be done by primarily increasing the welding current. So for thin sheets, like say 6 mm, you may use current of 150, fine. But if it is say 25 mm, you may have to use the current of 1500 as per the capability of the welding process. So say for SMAW, the welding current maximum is around, say maximum around 600 or to 800 ampere. But there is a process like submerged arc which can handle even 2000 ampere of current. So welding current directly affects the heat input. The voltage is not used for adjusting the heat input. It is primarily the current which is used, because voltage primarily you use in such a way that the arc being established is stable. So you must have seen that, like, you bring the two wires close together. When the circuit is completed, the power source, positive terminal and negative terminal, okay, the two are connected like this. When as soon as they come in contact, there will be a spark. We also call it as a discharge. Alright, the spark is for movement, for a moment, for just for a while, a part of second. So this is spark, and as soon as the two are separated, the spark goes off, it is extinguished. So, but even whenever there is a spark, even for a short time, the high temperature and the heat both are generated. But since the spark is just for a very short period, it cannot be used for melting purpose. So in order to facilitate that spark is stable, spark is continuous, so that whatever heat and the temperature is generated, that can be used for melting the faying surfaces, melting the edges of the plates to be joined. Okay, so we need a stable arc. So a stable arc is nothing, it is a arc which is it is a continuous spark, okay, with the constant current, and there is no flickering, there is no extinction, it remains there. So heat is continuously produced and transferred to the base metals for desired fusion. Okay, so now you see how the welding arc works. Okay, so you need a power source. Welding power source is known to be of high current and low voltage type of the power source. So obviously, like any power supply, there will be two terminals. So this power source can be of different types. It can be simple giving AC, or it can be DC type. So the DC type power source, like transformers. AC, the most common source of the AC is the transformer, and for the DC there is a generator, there is a rectifier. Okay, so these DC power source gives you a current whose magnitude and the direction of flow of current is constant. So the time and the magnitude value of the current, that remains constant in case of the DC. And you know that in case of AC, sinusoidal waveform is produced in which the current direction and its magnitude both fluctuates continuously. These passes through the zero values also, and then these reach to the peak side. So the direction and the magnitude of the AC current continuously keep on changing. So you see this here. Say this is the electrode and this is the workpiece to be joined. These two are connected to the suitable power source. So in case of DC, we'll start from simple thing. Say this is the negative terminal connected to the electrode, and there is a positive terminal connected to the base. So what we do, electrode will be brought in contact with the base metal. So for a short while, when it is brought in contact, the heavy current as per setting, say 200 ampere current is flowing through these contact edges. So short circuiting happens, heavy current flows, and that through I square RT joule heating generates lot of heat. So there will be melting, there will be evaporation of metal vapors and the impurities, of course, which are present, and this happens in very few seconds or fraction of seconds. Okay, so once this has happened, so what you do, you just touch it. Say you touch the electrode and then move it apart with the base metal. So as soon as the electrode is moved apart, the charged gap of the metal vapors, they ionize very easily whenever the gap is created and sufficient potential difference or the voltage between the two base metal and the electrode is established. So you get a gap between the base metal and the electrode. Here you have charged particles obtained through the metal vapor ionizations, which have been created through the short circuiting heat. Okay, and in this process of ionization, you produce electrons and the positively charged ions, of course. Okay, so a charged gap is created, charged particle gap is created. Okay, so whenever the charged particle gap, which we call as a plasma, is created, this becomes electrical conducting. and when there is a sufficient power source, the current starts to flow from the electrode to the base metal. So electrons will be flowing from the electrode to the base metal. Since the electrons being lighter in weight, they move at a very fast speed, very high speed. So the negatively charged particles will be moving at a very high speed under due to the potential difference between the base metal and the electrode. So the minimum voltage which is needed for this purpose, say, that may depend upon number of factors, but it usually ranges from 15, say, to the 100 volt. Okay, and so here you have positively and negatively charged particles like this. So the negatively charged particles will be moving towards the anode, which was your workpiece or the base metal, and positively charged particles, ions being heavier, large in size, they move slowly, okay, towards the cathode, because this is negatively connected to the negative terminal. Okay, so the slow moving ion current and fast moving electron current. So these electrons will be impacting with the surface of the base metal, generating the heat due to the conversion of kinetic energy into the heat. So heat generated leads to the fusion, melting of the base metal. So this is what basically happens in a welding arc. Heat generated here, how much current you are feeding and what is the voltage. So voltage is usually low, say 15 to 100, but the current, the electron current, can vary significantly, say from 50 to 500 ampere. Accordingly, the heat will be of the different amount will be generated. Okay, since there is another aspect, say here this is the location of welding arc and you are moving the arc at a certain speed. So you are generating the heat at this rate Vi, but since the arc is being moved at a certain speed in the welding direction, so the heat will be delivered to a particular location will be governed by the welding speed, and that is what is quantified in terms of net heat input to the heat being supplied to particular location of the base metal is quantified in terms of the net heat input. And for that purpose, what we use simple relation of Vi by S. This gives us the heat being delivered in kilojoule per mm. So mostly the welding is performed in the range of 0.5 to say 5 kilojoule per mm heat input. This is for very thin sheets, say 1 mm thick, and say this is for say 20 or 25 mm thick plates. So depending upon the thickness of the sheet we need to weld, the heat of the different magnitudes, net heat input is given of the different amount. So the Vi is one thing and the speed is another. This is related with the power of arc, but if the arc is moved at a higher rate, higher speed, then heat delivered to a particular zone will be reduced. Okay, so another thing is that the power of arc, which is given in terms of, like say, the voltage and the current. This gives us the heat generated per second. Okay, the watt per second. So it is in mostly watt. Okay, it's the heat being delivered per second. Okay, when it is divided with the welding speed, we get the heat input being given to a particular location. So we get the net heat input. Another thing, okay, so it is just like there is a flame, and if you move the hand across the flame slowly, you may feel lot of burning, but if the hand is moved very fast, the effect of heat being felt by the hand, that will be very less. Okay, the same is true for here in welding. The heat generated is fixed, but if you move the torch or the arc rapidly, then the heat being delivered to the base metal, that will be reduced. Okay, so this is true for the DC kind of thing, power source PS connected to the electrode negative terminal and positive terminal connected to the base metal, like this. Okay, so this is the situation of the DC, where electrode is being connected to the negative terminal, so it is called cathode, and when it is connected, when base metal is connected to the positive terminal, it becomes anode. Okay, when this kind of arrangement is used, we call it DC, direct current, electrode negative, EN, electrode negative. This is also called DC straight polarity, SP. When the reverse connection is used, like say the electrode is connected to the positive terminal of the power source, okay, and the base metal is connected to the negative terminal of the power source, so the base metal becomes cathode and the electrode becomes anode. And this kind of the setup is called DC EP, electrode positive, or it is also called as a DC reverse polarity, means electrode is positive. Okay, so when you have these polarities are important to understand. Why? Because these affect the three aspects. One is heat generation, where how much heat is being generated in the electrode side and the base metal side. It affects the cleanliness of the weld, and it also affects the arc stability. Okay, so in electrodes are expected, or cathode in shielded metal arc welding, in tungsten arc welding, in many welding processes, it is expected that electrode will or cathode will emit the electrons for having sufficient conductivity of the arc zone, so that continuous current can flow and arc remains stable. Okay, so when the electrode is made cathode, it has the good electron emitting capability, because the electrodes are designed, electrodes are manufactured in such a way, using suitable coatings in shielded metal arc welding, that they can emit the electrons very easily. So the flux or the coating on the electrodes are given in such a way that they can emit the electrons very easily. So whenever the electrode is made cathode, means electrode is made negative, or state polarity is used, charged particles are released very easily in the gap, conductivity is very good. This in turn results very good arc stability. Okay. On the other hand, when the reverse polarity is used, the base metal may have or may not have the good arc emission capability, good electron emission capability. Okay, so if the base metal is made cathode, but if it is not having the good electron emitting capability, then it will be leading to the fewer charged particles in the arc gap, and if the charged particles are few, then electrical conductivity will be low, and therefore arc will be unstable. Arc will tend to get extinguished. Okay, so arc stability, that is why, is affected by the polarity. Another aspect is whenever DCEN is used, electrode negative is used, high speed electron moving electrons will be impacting with the base metal, and most of the heat is generated in the anode side. So in the DC welding, say whenever the electrode negative polarity is used, about 33% of the heat is generated on the electrode side, and 66% of the heat is generated on the base metal side. Why? Because electrons being emitted by cathode will be impacting with the base metal in very large quantity at high speed, so generating lot of heat in the base metal side, while the ion current, impact of ions on the electrode side is very limited. So that is why heat generation is very less. So if you want more heat in the base metal side, then the electrode negative polarity is used, and if you want less heat on the base metal side, then reverse polarity is used. There is both the possibilities which can be there in welding. If you want to weld very thin sheets or very thick sheets, so for welding of thin sheets, RP will also be okay, DC RP will also be fine, because you don't need much heat. And when thick sheets are to be welded, then you will see the deeper penetration is to be realized, and DCEN, electrode negative polarity, has to be used. Okay, so because the polarity directly affects the heat generation, so the DC welding, in DC welding you have control. In DC welding power source, at least you have control, like which terminal of the power source will be of which type. So the positive terminal is to be connected to the base metal, or it is to be connected with the electrode. That is what you can decide, and accordingly you can ensure the desired type of the polarity. But the same is not true for AC welding. In AC welding, the polarity will keep on changing after every half cycle. So there is no control over the heat generation, and since the current becomes the zero also after every half cycle, so there is no flow of current. So means arc stability is low, okay, in AC, and no control over heat. Like you don't know, because heat generation is equal on both the sides. While in DC welding, electrode side, when DCEN is made, electrode generates less heat, and the base metal side more heat is generated. So that can be used favorably for having the desired penetration, desired weld size. So if we go by this DCEN, let's take example, the kind of the geometries which are realized. The DCEN gives you the penetration like this. Okay. The DCEP will give you the lesser penetration, reverse polarity. And in case of the AC, it is in between of the two. Okay. So as far as the depth is concerned, DCEN is maximum, DCEP is minimum, and for AC it is in between. So depending upon the thickness of the sheets, the kind of the depth up to which melting is needed, you can choose the suitable polarity and the welding current. Okay, Now coming to the another aspect, electrodes. Most of the welding processes use two types of electrodes. Means in the different welding processes use different types of the electrode. That is the first statement. And there are two types of the electrodes. There are few processes which use the consumable electrode. Okay, and there are other processes which use the non-consumable electrode. They don't consume during the welding process. So the processes which are using tungsten, carbon, so in TIG process or in carbon arc process, carbon arc welding, TIG welding, these non-consumable electrode, even in plasma welding, non-consumable electrodes are used. So they will helping just to have the welding arc to strike the arc between the base metal and the electrode, whether it is carbon or tungsten, in all TIG, plasma or in carbon arc. These are used primarily to strike the arc. These are not used. If you want to have the filler metal, this has to be fed in the arc zone only. This has to be fed in arc zone. So this is what I was saying. In carbon or tungsten electrodes, the filler has to be fed in the arc zone so that it can melt and fill the groove. Okay, and mix with the molten metal being realized through the melting of the edges of the plates. But in so this is true for plasma, TIG and carbon arc welding process. There is another category of the electrode, that is the consumable electrode. So that is used in all shielded metal arc welding, MIG welding, submerged arc welding, and the flux cored arc welding. In all these welding processes, this electrode not just the strikes arc between the base metal and the electrode, say negative and positive. Okay, so the heat generated melts the arc electrode continuously. So the electrode melting leading to the transfer of the molten metal continuously from the electrode to the weld pool. So there is no need of separate filler, feeding the separate filler. This feature is extremely good because electrode is not just striking the arc, but it is also providing the filler metal. So that is very good. Okay, this increases the welding speed. This increases the productivity. Okay, means you may deposit the metal right from 1 kg to like 15 kg of the metal per hour. So this is very good. Okay, these are the welding processes which use the consumable electrode. Now the consumable electrodes again are of the two types. One is, so consumable electrodes are of the two types. One is coated type and another is bare electrode, uncoated, you can say, no coating. So coated electrodes, these are primarily coated with the flux, like in SMAW, shielded metal arc welding process, or stick electrode. While the electrodes used in MIG process or submerged arc process, it is coated with the copper to avoid the corrosion, to make the electrode more electrical conducting. So MIG, metal inert gas, or submerged arc welding processes use the coating of the copper. Okay, but the purposes of coating flux and the copper are completely different. As I said, copper primarily helps to increase the electrical current capacity or electrical conducting behavior of the electrode, while the fluxes in the stick electrodes or SMAW electrodes are used for a number of other purposes apart from So those purposes will be talking in detail. So like the role of fluxes or coatings in SMAW electrode. So let us understand the electrode first. In electrode there is a wire that we call as a core wire. Core wire size is known as the size of electrode. The diameter of core wire is known as the diameter or the size of the electrode. Okay, then this core wire is coated with the fluxes. Fluxes are basically hydrocarbons, silicates of sodium, potassium, hydrocarbons, silicates of then there is a charcoal, there is a wood dust. So number of other ingredients are there. Okay, so what so this is the structure. So let's say including the coating, the diameter of the electrode is designated as a D, and the diameter of just the core wire is designated as a D. Okay, so the capital D divided by small d gives the coating factor. Okay, so coating factor means how thick coating is applied over the core wire. If it is just 1.2, 1 to 1.2 or 1.2 to 1.5 or greater than 1.5. 1.5 means the coating diameter of the electrode including coating is 1.5 times or more than the core wire. Okay, so this is thin coated. When the coating factor is low, thin or light coated means the coating is not much. Coating is very thin, this core wire, and a very thin layer of the coating is applied. Okay, then medium coated or heavy coated. Okay, so thin coating means the coating may not be sufficient. This may lead to the poor protection of the weld and the defects in the weld when it is lightly coated, and when it is heavily coated also lead to the lot of slag formation. Okay, and this slag may get entrapped in the weld metal itself, leading to the defects. So skewedness on the either side, very thin coating or very thick coating, both may not be desirable. Okay, what are the functions performed by these coatings? First is providing the protection to the weld pool and arc from oxygen, nitrogen in air. So what we do, the electrode when arc is struck, okay, so the heat of the arc burns the coatings, so which is having the hydrocarbons, so they burn and produce the CO and CO2. The CO and CO2 will cover the arc by pushing away the air away from the arc zone. That is how these will be providing the protection to the weld pool from the atmospheric gases. Second, to improve the arc stability and easy arc initiation. So what we do for easy release of arc during the welding and even during the restarting or starting or striking the arc, some of the low ionization potential elements like sodium, potassium are added, even calcium are added with the fluxes. So these, under the favorable condition of the welding in terms of temperature and in terms of the potential difference, these release the electrons very easily for striking and for stabilizing the welding arc. Third purpose is alloying. If you want to add certain alloying elements in the weld metal, then these elements are put in the flux. Then these elements after melting will get mixed up with the weld metal, so the weld metal composition gets modified. Okay, then these also help in forming the favorable slag. Actually, the slag formation is designed. What is the slag? The metal reacting with the oxygen and nitrogen, forming their oxides and nitrides. Okay, so these are the impurities need to be removed. So we'll add the flux. In the flux we'll add certain constituents, so these react with the oxides and nitrides to form slag. This slag must be light, low in density, so that whenever the slag is formed, it is lighter than the molten metal, so that it can come up at the surface by the buoyancy force and it starts floating over the surface. Once the cover of the slag is formed at the surface, it restricts the entry of the air interaction with the molten metal, and on the solidification, slag is automatically removed through the hammering, or it is detached automatically. So the formation of the suitable slag is the another purpose. Then the fifth one is, since the current flows through the core wire and the flux acts as an insulator, so the short-circuiting tendency due to touching here and there are avoided if the coating acts as an insulator. Okay, so insulation of acting as an electrical insulator can be the another purpose of applying these coatings on the electrodes. These electrodes are of the different sizes. Say one typical electrode is of can be of size range say 350 to 450. During the welding, these will be consumed. So as soon as the length is reduced, this need to be replaced. So start, stop after the consumption of the welding. Electrodes need to be changed. Say if the welding is to be done say of 2 meter length, you may have to change the number of electrodes. So there will be frequent breaks due to the consumption of electrode. The process is interrupted as soon as the electrode is changed. So this is the another undesirable side related with the SMAW or stick electrodes. There is no continuous feeding. Electrodes has to be changed as soon as it is consumed. Okay, these electrodes are found in the diameter usually ranging from 2.5 at 3.2 4 5 6 8 and 9, and you know, through the small diameter electrode, if you use the current of say 100 or 150, it can sustain, because I square RT heating will be taking place through of the electrode as well. If the small dielectrode is subjected to very high current say of 500 ampere, then I square RT heating may be too high and your electrode may get melted on its own before the welding is performed. Okay, so electrodes should melt through the heat of the arc only, not due to the electrical resistance heating in SMAW or arc welding process. That is why if you want more heat, you want to use a more welding current or higher welding current, then you should go for the larger electrode diameter, so that at least it can handle the welding current. So basically the diameter, this is the core wire diameter. Okay, the core wire diameter and the welding current which they can normally use is about like say the diameter of the core wire, then like say 4 to 5 times of the welding current. It can be 40 to 50 times of the diameter the welding current can be handled. Say if the electrode diameter is 3, maybe it can handle the welding current of say 120 to 150 ampere. Okay, if it electrode diameter is 4, maybe 160 to say 200 ampere. So this is a thumb rule only, like the welding current that electrode can carry is about 40 to 50 times of its diameter. Further, these values will be affected by the electrical resistance of the electrode material itself. Higher the electrical resistance, greater will be the heating, so the electrical current carrying capacity of the electrode will be reduced. Okay, so now I will stop here. The other aspects related with the shielded metal arc welding, like the electrode classification and selection of electrode, I will be talking in the next lecture. And that's all from my side. So we'll continue the remaining portion of the manual metal arc welding process in coming lectures.